Hello, welcome to another episode of Xan Talk Show. Today we are going to do Emacs Lisp coding. Emacs Lisp coding live plus tutorial. I'm going to explain as I go through. So today's task is parsing URL. So here's a URL, and this is different parts of a URL. The protocol, the protocol, the host, the port number, the path, and this is the query string part, and this is fragmentation or hash part. So we are going to use Emacs Lisp to parse it. Now we did a video before, about 2 or 3 videos, July 22nd. So we did a video before, and that video is an hour long. And so, but today we are going to use a different algorithm. Okay, so let me copy this. So we're gonna start to code it. So let's start to code it now. Okay, so show today's talk show page. Let's start to code it. Alternative algorithm. And today, why am I doing it again? Because I actually need it in my XR HTML mod. Okay, let me show you in a second. So paste it there, syntax highlighted, so you can see this is a code we did before. This is how you parse a URL. That is, given a URL, you want to split it into different parts. Why do you need to do that? Because for example, if I have a command, for example, here is a file path, right? It's a file path copied from there. Now, in Emacs, you have a command called find file at point. Okay, find file at point. That's an Emacs command. Okay, describe function. You can see FFAP is an alias for find file at point. That's just a shortcut, a short name. So you call this command, and it will open whatever the file path or URL at the cursor position. So let's demonstrate. So let's say Google. Okay, google.com. Okay, Google, the evil empire. Okay, so we have a URL there, and you can say, metax ffap, and it will just open that URL. Why is it taking so long? Find file or URL. Yeah, so it tries to confirm, do you really want to open that? Yes. Okay, you see, let's do it again. Close Google, back to Emacs, call ffap, find file at point. Do you really want to open that one? Yes. Okay, you see, now so you can do it similarly for a local file. For example, let's do it again, ffap. Okay, do you really want to open that? Yes. Okay, so it opens this file showing browser, and that's my local file for this. It opened the file. That's the point. FAP. For okay, let's write it out. Okay, so let's write it out quickly. Is an alias. Okay, so this is Emacs FFAP is an alias for find file at point. It just opened the file at the cursor position. Okay, and here are 2 URL examples and local file examples. Now, why do you need to? For example, let's see if it works. Okay, so let's put a fragment something. Okay, then let's do FFAP. Do you really want to open that? Yes. Okay, it opened it correctly. So you see, so this function, the file name is this file name, right? But then you have the hashtag. So the function needs to remove the hashtag because that's not part of the file name. Then open that. So part of the source code of FAP must parse the URL. It must take the URL and remove the hashtag and then open it. Now, if it's a case of URL not local file. If it's a URL, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't think. Yes, it doesn't matter. So for example, let's put a random string here. So FFAP, it confirms, do you really want to open that one? It just opened that with the hashtag. Okay, but the point is that sometimes you need to get rid of the fragmentation, and sometimes you need to get rid of the also, for example, both the fragmentation and both the query string. Let's see if this works, okay? So I got the file path with a query string there and fragmentation, okay? So FFAP, enter. So it does it correctly. You see, it removes the query string and the fragment. So that is why you do need to pass an URL sometimes, especially the fragmentation, the hashtag, and the query string. So let's look at the source code. Let's see how this function does it. Okay, so describe function, find file at point, okay, and jump to the source code, FFAP. Okay, here's the source code, define alias. Okay, so you want to find that function. Okay, where's the definition? Okay, I don't know. Describe function, let's try it. There it is, there. Okay, so we jump to the source code. So let's narrow to define. So this function is 42 lines. Now let's look at where do they pass the URL. Let's see, let's search for URL. Okay, fetch. So where is the, let's see, where is the file? Somewhere they must have removed the hashtag and the query string. Okay, so you actually need to look at this code. Okay, it's too large a font. Let me shrink it. FFAP pass wildcards to diode. Function directory find the file name. Oh, so actually now where do they pass the file name? Is it expand file name? Oh god, we need to look at the code now. So hello guys, good afternoon. I would like to hear you talk about RISC-V, XV6, Unix history. Okay, I don't know what is RISC-V, reduced instruction, something CPU. Okay, I don't know much about CPUs actually. So what is this? GitHub, MIPB, RISC-V. XV6 is a modern re-implementation of 6th edition Unix. Unix? You want to know my opinion about Unix? Okay, it's a modern re-implementation of 6th edition Unix in NCC. Why do you need to re-implement it for multiprocessor x86 and RISC-V systems? It was created for pedagogical purposes in 2006. Re-implementation, that's silly. Okay, I don't know nothing about it. Unix history, Okay, Unix, I can talk a little bit about Unix history, but operating system is not my thing. All I have to say is that I think Unix is a crime. Unix is the operating system that did did the most damage to computing history, including line truncation, the shellback, a bunch of shellback, the nicknames, cat, grep, find, these cryptic nicknames. They hacker culture. Unix is a operating system that did the most harm long-term in computing industry for the past 30 years, at least. Okay, and Lisp, by the way, Lisp is the antithesis. Lisp, the Lisp community, AI community, including Emacs, is against the Unix philosophy, so-called philosophy. It's actually not a philosophy. It's just a latch on, post the fact, adding, like Unix is a hack, okay? Okay, here's my story about Unix. I don't really know the actual history, the detail, the academic history of Unix, but I can tell you that the Unix is Unix. Well, I'm not. I don't think. Okay, go to study.info. So if you want to hear my Unix rant, just search for Unix philosophy. I have like over 100, over 50 articles about Unix, okay, about how harmful Unix is. So you can start by search for Unix philosophy, okay. Unix philosophy, fast food the Unix way. This article is like 30 years old. I got it from the web. You can see so this is a humor. This is a funny story. Unix philosophy, fast food the Unix way. Written around 1984 or before. Okay, I cannot find the actual author, but 1984 or before. Okay, the author might be Bob Pierce. He might be someone working at Xerox. I don't know. So this humorous article is written in 1980s, early 1980s, and by reading this article, you can kind of get a sense how it was, how sucky Unix was, how insecure, the most insecure operating system, that is Unix. Okay, Unix and Linux is filled with lies. It's not technically, it's called cult. They have a cult, just like religion, Scientology, Falun Gong. If you are outside of the cult, you hear them, or even Christianity to a lot of degrees, and Islam. Okay, so when you are outside of the religion, you hear these people say about whatever, and you can see it's a cult. They talk about things that's just not true. Okay, in the same way, when you read this article written in 1984, Unix. So why is Unix? I claim Unix is the most insecure operating system. Unix is the operating system that created. Okay, it created the Unix community, the Unix operating system, the Unix people, the hackers, the Unix philosophy, those type of people. And today Linux or the suckless, whatever, the window manager, this type of people, this community, they created the hacker, the cracker, the breaking into computers type of mentality. It is them, okay? And today, all the spammers, all the spammers everywhere you go, the spammers, the botnet, that's from who wrote them? Do you think they are written by Microsoft fans? No, mostly they are working in Linux. Okay, the Unix is the most harmful did the most harm. Okay, so you start to read. Okay, so if you want to know my Unix, I talked about this over so many times in my past 2 years. So you can start with okay, this story. Okay, read that story, and read this one. Okay, and then you can see lots of my talk shows about Unix philosophy and hacker idiots. Okay, that is my true opinion. Okay, is people hear my opinion, they, Sai is just a troll. He wants to make himself known. He wants to be, he has a need to be heard. Idiots. Okay. So the nature of Unix philosophy, you might have heard of this term but today Unix philosophy is kind of dead. Okay, it's replaced by the Zoomer generation and the social justice warriors. They are not the classic hackers of the Unix philosophy is the representative, we can say, the representative of the Unix philosophy people is ESR, Eric S. Raymond, okay, who created the Cathedral and Bazaar, who is the leader of the open source philosophy, which is a branch, offshoot from the schism from the Free Software Foundation, the ESR. He's well known, okay, not so much today, because generation, come and go. So ESR, he wrote the book Unix Philosophy, or the Art of Unix, programming. He wrote a bunch of books, and he also created the hacker logo, okay? So I'm talking about these things. These things today's generation don't know much, because this is mostly, not that one. You see, when you search for the image, even, the logo doesn't come up. The hacker logo, it should come up because it's kind of, just like celebrities, the singers, pop stars, every 20 years they come and go. So newer generation have no idea who are the most popular stars 30 years ago. And but meanwhile, when they are the star, you hear them, everyone knows, everyone knows who is Michael Jackson, for example. My generation, Michael Jackson, Prince, David Bowie, these are, the big Madonna and biggest stars. But today, new generation, so new thing. But when you are at the point, when you are young at the current generation, that's all you hear every day. So in a similar way, hacker logo is one of the things everyone knows, but not so much today. So let's type Unix, okay? Oh God, you can't even find it. Okay, so you can't even find it now. ESR hacker logo, okay? There it is, okay, this one. So you see that, you see this, sometimes you'll see people use that as a profile photo, okay? And this guy is ESR, okay? You can also search on my site, you can find ESR, okay? So ESR, he has that guy. So hacker archetype, he is the representative of the hacker culture, okay? ESR. So anyway, ESR, so Unix philosophy, so I'm saying that Unix philosophy kind of died. Today not many people know about it, except very few. And ESR is what am I saying? So the Unix philosophy is post the fact thing. Okay, it's the Unix, the nature of Unix is such that it's just sloppy, a bunch of students who don't know things, who don't know design, who just make things go, and after refine a little refinement every day, make it correct the incorrectness, then after 30 years, that's what Unix became. That's the nature of Unix, okay? When you use Unix, you wonder why it's so, the complexities, the man page, that's Unix, okay? No design, no philosophy, a bunch of people who don't know, who just want to make things work quickly. Hack is the essence of the Unix thing. Hack, including C is a Unix language. C, Unix, Perl. These are representative of the Unix technology. Okay, C, the nature, the design. If you want to think of what is the guideline, the philosophy, the mindset of Unix things, then you can look into C++. I would include Unix and Perl, for example. That's a prototypical Unix technology, okay? And then you have the word Unix philosophy. Now, there's a Wikipedia article on that you can read into, okay? So Unix philosophy, it's not like you begin with a philosophy approach to design. No, it's not really like that. Unix philosophy is more like after the fact, after 20 years of Unix, after 10, 20 years of Unix, then the Unix fanboys, the Unix fanatics, they try to come up with a philosophy, like a jargon, because once you have a jargon, it helps your code, it spread, especially dramatic jargon, just such as Unix philosophy. The Unix kind of thing, they love jargons, for example, all the ls script, sed, bison, tons of them, they love, it's like the word to describe them is juvenile humor. That is what Unix is, juvenile humor. It describes lots of these type of people, sloppy. They are not the type who are architects, who design, who think about things, who think about extensibility, about ease of use, about the correctness of the program, about what program should be. That's the opposite of the Unix type of people, okay? That's the opposite. Now, these type of people are represented by Lisp people, Richard Stallman, the scheme Lisp people, the racket people. They are totally opposite, okay? So, it's a little fact, today most people don't know about that, but back in the 80s, that's even before my time, and somewhat in 90s, the Unix camp and Lisp camp are at war with each other, okay? So Unix philosophy is just pure bullshit, okay? So you can read my articles if you want that. Okay, I guess today we forget about Emacs. Since we started to talk about Unix, forget about it. And so we already talked for, 23 minutes. Let's see, where do I continue? So let's forget about Emacs. Yeah, since I already digressed so much. So let's forget about Emacs Lisp coding then. Let me just talk about Unix, okay? So if you have a question about Unix, ask me then. So yeah, so you start to read those articles. So let me show you a few Unix philosophy. So okay, so read that. The nature of Unix philosophy. There's tons, of it. Then I mean, I have written tons of. Basically, that's my life. Ranting against the Unix 1 + 1 = 3. That's what Unix is to me, a cult phenomenon. Now, I want to be fair, okay? I want to say that I think, okay, let me be precise, okay? I think that Unix operating system and associated things such as the code, for example, the jargon Unix philosophy, Perl, which has been the most popular language on earth for 10 years. Perl is a part of the Unix philosophy group, okay? So they have, in my opinion, the Unix operating system and associated things such as the kind of community Unix philosophy and Perl and C, the C programming language, and all the things associated with Unix, such as truncation, line truncation, and everything should be represented as a text file. That's part of the Unix thing. So Unix, in my opinion, and associated things has done huge damage to the computing industry, okay? Huge, even today. For example, one of the things I complain about, okay, hold on a second. Let me copy what we talked about today. So we have a log of, I need to finish coding the Emacs Lisp. Okay, so we talked about Eric Raymond. Okay, so let's just copy. let me copy that. Okay, the nature of Unix philosophy, and let me show you a few articles. And the ESR, okay, ESR is a prototype, the representative of the Unix hacker culture. Okay, ESR, everything about ESR. Eric S. Raymond, okay, he's the founder of the open source, one of the founder. Okay, so let's and so I was saying, even today, the Unix, so many, there are still so many things that is a remnant of the damage caused by Unix. Okay, for example, the line truncation. Okay, let me tell you about line truncation. Okay, so I have, like I said, I have like over 50 or 100 articles ranting against Unix. Okay, so for example, this one is the earliest. Okay, so I also did a video, Unix RFC. Now today you guys may not know what is RFC. RFC stands for really fucking common. Okay, it actually stands for request for comment. Now look at this jargon. Okay, this is part of the Unix mentality. This is an example of the Unix code, the type of term or jargon they use. Okay, RFC, really fucking common, request for comment. Okay, now, so what does that mean? It's a precursor to the open source mentality, communism. Okay, today, so it's like for example, they want to create a spec for a protocol, email, HTTP, or whatever. So they created this request for comment among their community, meaning that, kind of loving, the word is, it's request for comment. It's so how do you describe it? It's part of hippie, part of the, I would just call it, I would describe it as a communist, kind of communist and trap. Okay, it's a trap. It's a kind of a help the world mentality, which in the end often creates the most evil. Okay, so anyway, RFC, request for comment. So basically it's a request for comment. So they publish it, so everyone who have some thought about certain protocols, they can comment and help design the protocol. That's what it is. So it's similar to today's, you can say similar to today's GitHub pull request. Lots of things similar. Okay, so it's a mentality. Okay, anyway, request for comment, it's very widely popular. Not so much today, but it's still going on. Okay, and request for comment and line truncation. So line truncation. Okay, Unix, Unix tools. Now I'm not on Unix. So you cannot. So I don't have the. I cannot show you right now. But Unix commands, in the beginning, when your line, whatever, for example, on Unix you can do PS. Okay, PS is list processes. Now, the PS you see here is actually PowerShell. That's a alias for get process. So that's a PowerShell command. But anyway, on Unix you have the PS command, which does list processes, similar to what you see here. Okay, so this command, usually the line output are very long. When you do PS, for example, PSAUW WX, and the Unix options, like the incredible fuck, the Unix toolback option, inconsistent, everything is just ad hoc, just like C language. There's no consistent design. There's no design at all. Everything is just sloppy or whatever. It works now and it's fast. Fast is one of their advantage. That's what they are concerned. So the Unix PS command, they truncate your lines. Okay, so if you want to find, if you started some script, So you type Unix and pipe it to grep. This is my experience since 1999 on Solaris. You type grep, for example, SAS script. Let's say bash. The SAS script. Bash usually don't end with a file name extension. Anyway, so let's say you do that, and the result is empty. But however, that you actually started that command. So what happened? Well, the reason is that because when the output on Unix, on lots of Unix commands, when the line is more than 80 characters, they silently truncate it. Okay, that's Unix. It's Unix fuckheads. So I want to say, so it's not just a flaw. When a technology, programming languages, protocols always have some flaw or mistakes. That's human. But the emphasis I want to make is that when it comes to Unix, every programming language, every operating system has flaws, and they can improve it gradually, such as DOS or whatever. But in the Unix case, it's not just that they have flaws. Every technology has flaws or mistakes. But in the Unix case, they have a code. They have a code such that they do not, they do not consider they have flaws. But instead they turn around. They say this is the best way. Okay. For example, this line truncation is encompassing. We still suffer from this problem today. Okay. For example, back in 1980s, email protocol. You guys probably don't know today's generation. You have the email protocol. The Unix people create RFC. They created the email. So for example, you can look at this Unix and mbox email format written in 2002. Okay. That's 20 years ago when I was young, when I was like you guys. Okay. There's no spec. You read the spec, it's like fuzzy and it describes nothing. Unix mbox is original email format. In fact, there's no spec. Okay, each email program in Unix kind of create their own, incompatible. You cannot, for example, like back then, it's very common, and even today, you might want to transfer all your emails from one email company to another, right? So, and this is before you have internet email like Google Gmail. Before Gmail began around 2002 or something. Before it's just you use a mail application to connect to a email server, then it downloads all your email in your application. So almost always your emails are sitting on your disk locally. So it's just a bunch of files. I still have archive of my old email 20 years ago. So basically a bunch of files, and they are in a particular format, which is called mbox. Okay, so oftentimes you want to switch a mail server. So you might grab your mail and I forgot what exactly, but basically you want to upload to another email server, something like that. If I read it, I'll know the details. I forgot. It's been 20 years. So in order to do that, basically you have to know the exact format of the mbox, how email is archived. For example, why? For example, sometimes someone write an email, you reply with a quote, right? So you need to pass those quotes to be correct. Otherwise and also email, the mbox is just one single file, very large. So you have hundreds of emails inside one file. Okay. So that's why you need to know the mbox to determine how is each email separated, so you need the email spec inbox. But there's no such, okay? Like every is inconsistent. Each email server is different. That's Unix, okay? This is one of the damage of Unix. Not just this, and then the Unix people, because their operating system, everything is based on lines, and a line cannot be more than 80 characters. That's their tradition. The Unix fuckheads, they tell everyone in the world that they created the email protocol. You can see RFC something. Okay, I probably have a link here. I have a link. Mail. Let's see where is the mail protocol RFC. And these are several Perl programs that process email, which are all fucked up. Okay, here. RFC 1149. What is this one? RFC 1149. Okay, let's search for it. That's a joke. That's a silly joke. Always repeat it. Anyway, I have this. You can just find it. It's on Wikipedia. Email protocol. Okay, RFC something or number. So Unix told everyone in the world that in email you must truncate your lines. Okay. So they forced this line truncation into the email protocol. So every email processor, software must truncate their lines just like Unix. And what is the consequence of that? A lot. That's when you see, and also Unix adopted this correct character for quote. Okay, even we are using it today. For example, in Markdown, you use this for quote. Basically, you have to do it on every and each line. Okay, so let me show you. Okay, copy. So. And for example, this is a long line. That's not accepted by Unix. You have to do this. Okay, let me show you. Okay, so this is a long line. You have to fill column. What is a fill column? That's a jargon in Emacs Lisp. So Emacs Lisp created a command so that you can conform to the Unix way of cutting lines. So let's see. Show white space now. Now remember, this is very different from soft wrap. Okay, for example, let's make them one line. Okay, one line, but you can, like some of the Unix idiots, they'll complain. Oh, but long line is difficult to read. Fucking idiots. For example, let me show you. So there's a concept of margin. Okay, you see that? This is not multiple lines. This is still one single line, but it's easy to read. Why? Because you have the soft wrap concept, and you have the margin concept. Emacs also have margin. Okay, I'm not gonna show it, but you can set Emacs so that it actually have a margin, just like Microsoft Word. Okay, for example, let's can we do that? So let's start Word. I don't want Microsoft Word. Let's start WordPad. Okay, so paste it. So let's magnify so you can see. But you have the margin concept. Okay, wait. I haven't used this program. Oh, the margin. Wait, what? Where is the? There it is. Okay, so that's the margin. Okay. The line is still single line. For example, if I copy this, go back to Emacs, new buffer, paste it, it's still one single line. Okay, but you have the margin concept. But the Unix fuckhead, they don't know. They don't know. So they forced email. They forced the truncation line into every email program, and what's the problem? So then you have the quoting problem for lots of, for example, you want to quote all these lines. So what you do is first of all, this is one single line. Okay, so this is how you quote. But when you have multiple lines, let's hard wrap, okay? Okay, now it's hard wrapped. You see, some of the Unix people might complain, oh, what's wrong with hard wrap? This is one example. What is wrong with hard wrap? Or the Emacs would call feel column, feel their ass. The Unix fuckheads created this situation. So every software has to create a function to do this line truncation. Then you have this actual problem. This is a problem that will not go away. You see, it depends, when you have a hard formatted, line truncation like that, then it depends on your window size. Because right now my window size that is like that, and each line is, like that. That's not good. That's harder to read. Meanwhile, if you look at this one single line, it's easy to read, and it adjusts with your window, okay? The fucking Unix fuckheads, they want the line truncation, Normally you have to do it manually, like hit enter, type, hit enter. Then they say, oh, well, but your editor should create a function that does that. Yeah, so that means every text editor has to create a function just to do that. But even then you have the problem of, like if your font, depends on your font size, because if now the font size is small, now they are like nice again. Okay, you see, let's redo this. Okay, copy this line. Let's remove the quote there. Copy this line, paste it. Now fill it. Okay, now it depends on font size. You see, now when its font size is small, or the window, so it depends on lots of things. So when the font size is large, then you got this crap. This is a damage of the Unix fuck. Okay, to this day. People still do this. Like on when you commit code, there's coding style guide, formatting guide. Every language, Perl, Python, they have that. They will tell you that, oh, your line shouldn't be more than 80 characters. When you have more than 80 characters, please hard wrap it. The fuck Unix. This is one of the harm of Unix. But Unix created the code such that they brainwash people. They don't know. Like I did a full-time video. This is Eric Raymond. Okay, that's a guy, Eric Raymond. He's getting old. Now I did a full video on the Unix line truncation. Okay, but just like right now, I explain the detail. But I have a kind of friend, and not much so much, but because we disagreed, we separated our ways, kind of. He watched my video, and his opinion, he just think, oh, Kasa is just trolling. Oh, Kasa, you are being evil. You are just like, I don't understand. Do you see? Okay, now let me ask you guys. Do you see? Am I making sense? Is there a logic? This is just one case of the Unix damage. There's so much. Right now I'm talking about line truncation. Do you see? Do I make sense? I talked about 20 minutes on this. But the problem is when the Unix people, when they see this, it flew by their head. Okay, really, truly, because I argued with so many Unix fuckheads. On forum, by writing, by video, like right now, by live stream. After you talked so many logical reasons, you tell them why, truncate lines is no good. And by the way, what's the origin? Where does this truncating lines came from? Well, came from punch cards, because there are 80 holes. Okay, lots of things in history, the way they are is because historical reasons. Okay, but the problem with the Unix is that every operating system, every technology, every programming language has flaws and make mistakes. Sure, we progress, we fix them, right? But why am I particularly hate about the Unix fuckheads? Because in the Unix case, they are not, just normally, oh yeah, we made a mistake, we progress, yeah. It's not like that. They have a code. They have a code, spreading fake news, saying that Unix is the most secure operating system. That's the opposite from the lie. That's the biggest lie. Saying that Unix is good, great, and this in particular, this case, line truncation, they think it's good. To this day, most programmers, they don't know. They blindly follow all the programming language in Python, in Golang, in Perl, the style guide. They tell you, especially in Emacs 2, because the fucking magic, when you have a line, when you make a commit line, when your line is more than 80 characters, the magic guy, he's a nice guy, but we had an argument. But the magic will tell you, warning, your line is more than 80 characters, blah blah blah. Fucking waste my time, fuckheads, telling me to do something. I'm doing things correctly, and he tells me to fuck it up. Why does all these things happen? Because the Unix philosophy, the Unix code, the Unix fuckheads, they created this situation. Okay, so today most of the time I'm so line, that's not all. So many. So we are talking about line truncation, but so much more because of Unix. Because now listen, okay, because of Unix, basically starting in the 1990s, then every programming language became line-based language. Okay. Now this will take some time to explain. I don't know if you understand. Beginning around, since the popularity of Unix, then Linux around year 2000, okay? Every programming language, the mentality, the designer, the thinking of the people, they have no idea of alternatives. They are every language, including C, C++, Python, Java, Ruby, Perl, Golang, especially Golang. Golang is part of the C, Rob Pike. Rob Pike is one of the big Unix people, okay? But Golang is a great language. He's very smart, okay, Rob Pike. So anyway, let me focus. So every language, they become a line-based language. What does that mean? That means their syntax is, how do I put this? Okay, I wasn't so let's search for it. So let me show you. Okay, so let me first of all copy this into my talk show, and that's it for today. So let me show you. Okay, so this is white space. Okay, this is regarding white space. So I have a lot of all these are problems. The Emacs, the white space mod. Edge case in computing, what exactly is white space, okay? And there's interesting Unicode white space representation. And this is the article I want to talk about. What does it mean when a programming language claims that white space is insignificant, okay? And make white space visible, that's Emacs. That's what we have done, like this command. So we can exactly see when there are white space or not. For example, let me do it again. Normal, show white space. So you can actually see where's the line return. You see that thing? That's a line return. And tips. Okay, so let me show you a few articles. So many articles. So Emacs whitespace mod, from these hacker idiots. You see. Okay, let me explain them one by one. So in Emacs you have a whitespace mod. Now in my case I customize it a lot. So normally you would see something like that. Okay, by default, when you turn on whitespace mod, it would show you something like that. Colorful. Spectacular, bewildering colorful. So it's gonna tell you have trailing white space, then you have the white space in front, Then you also have the case of white space mixed with tab. Then you have long lines. When you have a line that's more than 76 characters or so, it colors them in a special way. The fucking idiocy. Problems, okay, a lot of problems. So you can customize it so it shows like that, like the way I have it, okay. Why is this a problem? Because let's focus on long line, okay. So the other things, let's say they are acceptable, because sometimes you want to distinguish trailing white space versus the white space happening before. But why should they color long lines? Well, that's because of the Unix tradition, which spread to every programming language. So that's why in Emacs, in the white space mod, when you turn it on to show white spaces, it also will color in a special color for lines that are long, even though it really doesn't have anything to do with white space. Why does it color? Because it's trying to warn you, as a good gesture, as a good, tool, that your line is more than 80 characters. Maybe you should truncate it, like the Unix fuckheads. Okay, this is wrong. Okay, so this tool in Emacs, this tool, whitespace mod, is helping spreading the Unix fucking idiotic idea. Because normal people, you don't know the history, you don't know these details. So you see this, white space, long line, that's no good. Okay, I'm a young student. Yeah, I want to follow the proper, the proper way created by, the people. Fucking, that's one harm of Unix philosophy in Emacs, okay? Then there's more, okay? And I was talking about how Unix short lines created a situation where every programming language, their syntax became white space based, okay? That's another topic. That's gonna be another hours, okay? So in order to know that, so if you want to know about that thing, then what you have to do is you read another 10 articles on that issue, okay? So you want to know about, okay, so syntax. So let me show you a few articles. So there it is, okay? Let's just say, okay, let's just go here and go to, so this section is all about Lisp syntax, okay? And in here you can find articles that talks about the idea of what does it mean when a programming language's syntax is line based. Now this is very significant, okay? Very deep and time wasting, significant impact to the programming industry. Why? Because, for example, diff, you know about diff, right? Every time you go to GitHub or whatever command, you want to know which part of the code has changed. So you use the diff tool. In Unix, you have the diff. In PowerShell, you also have diff, which is a shortcut for an alias for compare object. That's a style of PowerShell naming, compare object, which is diff, Unix diff. You see, when you use Unix diff, what's the problem? The problem is Unix, every Unix tool, including grep, the fucking grep and rip and grep, they are line based. That means they must, every unit must be a line. They can, for example, if you want to search, for example, I want to search all occurrences of this block of text. Can you do it on Unix? No. Why? Because the text you want to search, the sequence of characters you want to search is more than one line. Unix tools does not work with things that's more than one line. Unix tool, everything must be a line based. So when you grab this, you get fail. Because that's, that's a Unix fuckheads. They created a damage to the computing industry with a code such that nobody knows this. Nobody thought about it. Then there's the Unix diff. Why can't you diff? So, which in turn made a lot of programming language style guide that tells you never reformat your code. Your code just don't reformat. So every line become line based. Line based becomes a unit. Instead, you should have a programming language that's not line should not be a syntactical unit. It should be the property should be a bracket or parenthesis. Okay, so you can have semantic diff. So you can actually find the differences of actual changes to your programming language. Okay, on a semantic unit, not a formatting unit. That's a line. That's a Unix fuckheads created damage to the computing industry. Now, Lisp is like such a language, but Lisp doesn't go all the way because Lisp, because in Lisp the common syntax is a line based. It's pervasive because not just in Lisp, in Python, in Bash, in Ruby, in PowerShell, it's you all have the line based comment. Okay. What it should be is something like that. Okay, for example, let's say that, okay, or that, and you can have multiple lines. You should have that's a proper design. Okay, and XML is a good example in that sense. XML, Lisp, Wolfram language. Okay, those are good. Those are not line-based syntax. Okay. Meanwhile, C, C++, Java, Golang, Rust, Ruby, Python, not so much Ruby, but and Python is specifically line-based. Okay, but that's bad. Okay, that's bad because in a line-based programming language, you have problems. For example, while loop. Okay, while loop. Okay, we don't want Lisp. So while loop, for example, this is a syntax of C JavaScript in a lot of languages. You have while loop. Now, so the Unix people will tell you that you should format it this way, right? Not in one single line. No, you cannot do that. So you need to, they have names for different styles of indentation. So anyway, so you follow their guide. So you should format your lines this way. But then you got a problem because all Unix tools, they are line based. So they consider this line as a unit. Okay? And they consider this end of bracket as a unit, but that's not the semantic unit of the programming language. That's just a formatting unit. What does it matter? So you have a conflict. So all the grep tools, they fuck up. They don't show the difference between semantic unit, but just lines. So what we do as a programmer is that we follow this Unix fuckheads idiocy and we just make do. So we have rules and guides about, okay, make sure your lines are no more than 80 characters, and don't just add extra space, or don't and you must follow a particular indentation style so that Unix diff and grep works. Okay, that's it. POSIX is the worst fuck of the Unix lineage. It's POSIX. Okay, POSIX is like good for nothing, useless. It's just for the type of people who think spec is a good thing. actually not useful. Okay, that's it for today. If you like my things, pay me, okay? So you can go to my Patreon. Go to my Patreon, pay me $5, or Amazon gift card, or PayPal. Okay, thank you guys for watching. That's it for today. Now I shut down in a minute. Let's copy that and put in my talk show. I need to get up and walk. So this block of text, that's what's the key for visual line mod? Okay, space and V. Okay, showing browser. So we got a lot of things that's not cleaned up. Where is it? Actually make a screenshot of this page. The Unix people, they don't know the concept of margin. How amazing. It's not like they don't know. Like for example on Twitter, on Discord, do you actually type, oh, but my line reached 80 characters, I type a return first. Do you actually do that? No, they don't do that. On Twitter, on Discord, on anywhere. But however, when it's in when it's in terminal, in source code, they do that. They forgot all about the automatic line wrap.